Hey, do you have to move to Fort Gregg Adams? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you 3 things you should know before you make that move, so let's go. If this is your first time to my channel, stop what you're doing, hit that bell button and like the video so I can alert you with more videos like this in the surrounding area. Now, if you're about to move to Fort Gregg Adams, I want you to know 3 things. I'm going to start with the first one is this. You have to understand the vibe of the area. You know, some people are coming from these big cities like New York, Chicago, and different places, and they're thinking that they may come to some big city and the pace is fast, but not around Fort Gregg Adams. You know, I would say it's a slower pace. You're surrounded by different counties and different cities. One of the cities you're going to see is Colonial Heights, Petersburg, and Hopewell. Those are 3 cities that you will run into and be around. Your counties is Prince George, Dinwiddie County, and Chesterfield. But when you think about that vibe, you really have to understand that it's not a fast-paced vibe. Things shut down early, but it's a decent area, okay? This is a place where you see people pretty much stop their career here and retire and want to live, or some people want to raise their family here. Some people like this area. They buy a house. I have met several families who use their VA for the first time. You know, around here we have the typical things. You have the movies, you have skating, bowling, and etc. You got all those different things that's in the area. So it's not like it's nothing to do around here. And also you have South Park Mall. That's a mall that's right down the street from Fort Gregg Adams. You will see this mall. It's not a high-end mall, I would say. If you want some sneakers, if you're looking for shoes, that's the place you go to. They have a ton of sneaker stores in there, but it is a place where you can do some shopping. Plenty of restaurants that's around the area as well. So you still will enjoy this area. They have a place called Swaders where you can practice your golf swing and the baseball cage and an arcade and go-kart. So there's plenty of things to do around here, but I don't like when people think it's nothing to do around here, but then sometimes they think it's a little fast-paced, but it's not. Now, I talked about South Park Mall. Yes, that's the closest mall in the area. But you also have Stony Point. That's in Chesterfield. It's probably a good 30 minutes away from Fort Gregg Adams. You have Chesterfield Town Center. That's a good 30 minutes away. And you have Short Pump Mall. And at Short Pump, that's the big boy, so to speak. The newest one, a lot of nice stores in it, and it's a whole bunch of stuff around Short Pump area. That's an area that's really growing. That's probably a good 45 minutes away from Fort Gregg Adams. So you have different malls to choose from. Chesterfield Town Center, pretty nice. Not too far, about 30 minutes, I would say. But South Park is your closest mall. So when you think about those different malls where you want to go shopping, yes, you got to choose one of those malls. Now, if you want to get to a high-end store, you got to go to D.C. Go to Washington, D.C. You have Tyson's Corner where they got a lot of high-end stores, but you're not going to find that at South Park if you're looking for certain things. Sometimes it's hard to even find a suit at South Park, to be honest with you, but those are your options when it comes to a mall in the area. And one more thing I want to bring out about the vibe, the area, is the location. I like the location personally because you're only 2 hours away from the beach. You're only 2 hours away from the mountains. You're only 2 hours away from Washington, D.C. So it's centrally located. So 2 hours, it's not a bad trip to see the mountains or the beach. I personally enjoy the beach. My family and I, we go every year. It's just amazing to be this close to the ocean and take a trip. Same thing with the mountains. It's a beautiful scene. We take advantage of that. So the vibe, the location, just want you to kind of understand the ambiance around Fort Gregg Adams. Number 2, learn your neighborhoods, okay? Learn the neighborhoods and as well as the schools, okay? If you have a child, of course, you're going to be concerned about what school would your child attend. I always tell people to go to niche.com, greatschools.org. those are good places you can go to see the ratings. Definitely niche.com, because they get millions of reviews from students, people, of what they think of the school. So they get their rating and they break it down to academic, diversity, and different things like that. So you want to do your due diligence on looking up the school system. Okay, so another thing is the neighborhoods. So when you think about what neighborhoods you want to move to, is very important. That's what you have me for. The number one thing you want to do when you're looking for a neighborhood is find out what your price point is. We talked about a VA loan earlier. Yes, it's important to look to see what price point you're going to be in, because this area, it offers a wide variety of price points. So you can be in a $250,000 range, believe it or not, all the way up to $1 million. I mean, within 30 minutes from Fort Gregg Adams. I do have my MRP, my military relocation professional, and I help several families to move in the area. Everybody may not want to live in Fort Gregg Adams, but if they want to buy a house, they can. To give you a good example, I have a deal going on right now with a gentleman. He's out of the country. We have a house locked down, and when he moved to the area, he has a home. I have someone else who's out of the country. He's getting himself very familiar with the area. So when he comes, we're going to be hit the ground running, so to speak. And we're going to check out different areas and neighborhoods that we have already been studying within his price point. I had one military family. They moved here. They bought a house. They were fixing it up, and then he found out he had to go. So what did I do? They asked me, Chris, can you take over and help us out? So I helped out with the contractor, with just making sure he got in, work was done, and he had paid him, and staged the house, ended up selling. It went very well. The last transaction I just finished up with a gentleman, he just had to move from the area. I consulted with him, told him what he had to do to figure out how he can get top dollar, and he moved out of the area. So study your neighborhoods. Don't be scared of buying a home, and if you have to be here 3 years, the way the market is going, your value will appreciate. The time of this video for sure. But feel free to give me a call and talk about that. How the rates looking? How's the market looking? Because in 3 years, you'll be surprised how much equity you can have. And definitely depends on where you move to. Now, you have to understand when you think about this area with different neighborhoods, definitely Chesterfield, you have a lot of HOA neighborhoods. Now, some people say, oh, I don't want an HOA neighborhood. I hate them because they're trying to tell me what I can do, and I don't need anybody telling me what I can do. True. Now, all HOAs are not the same. But you got to remember, though, when you have a decent HOA, it keeps the neighborhood unified. And some people want to be more in a country setting. You have Prince George, you have Dinwiddie, you have Chesterfield. So if you're thinking about the outskirts, most of those neighborhoods, sometimes in the country, like Dinwiddie and Prince George, they don't have a HOA. But when you're talking about a subdivision, they have a HOA. Now, all HOAs are not treated the same. Some HOAs can be very simple, where they just saying, hey, we're going to cut the grass in the entrance and take care of a couple of, maybe just from flowers or whatever it is. That's a simple HOA, but they have one, but they don't have a bunch of regulations. Then you have some neighborhoods that don't have an HOA at all, and sometimes you can tell. So be careful. And then some HOAs can be a little strict, with the size of your fence. You can't go this high, or you can't have this type of fence, or you can't have a certain dog. I've seen that before too. So, but don't write off different subdivisions just because they have an HOA. You have a chance to write an offer on a house, and you have a chance to review the HOA before you say, I want to move forward. I had that happen before. I had a family, they looked at the house, they loved the house, but once they sat down and reviewed the HOA, they really didn't want to move forward. The last one, number 3, is take advantage of Richmond. Richmond is the capital of Virginia, and it has a lot of things in Richmond to do. It's only a good 30 minutes away from Fort Gregg Adams. Now, when you're talking about the nightlife, yeah, things might shut down a little early around here, but they stay open a little later in Richmond. Maybe not like in some of your huge cities, but different places will stay open a little longer. Richmond is known for a foodie town. You have a ton of restaurants, not your typical chains everywhere, but different eating places, different breweries, several breweries, and you have different areas when it comes to Richmond. Just some of those parts that's There's some of the parts that's in Richmond. You're talking about Scott's Addition, Shockoe Bottom, the Fan, Carytown. It's different parts of Richmond that you can go visit. I just went to Scott's Addition, and we went to a place called Iron. What was the name of that place? Wood Iron. And it was great food. Just went there the other day. Bottoms Up Pizza, that's in Shockoe Bottom, a pizza place that's been there forever. So it's different eating places that you can check out in Richmond. So I highly recommend take advantage of going to Richmond for different eating places. Also, you have different museums. There's a lot of history around here. I mean, from all the way down to Fort Gregg Adams, all the way up to Richmond. It's different places you can go visit, even in the Henrico area, that has a ton of history along with the museums. Now, you know, when you're in this area, you're going to run into James River. It's different places you can rent a boat, ride a boat on the James River. They got kayaking, different water sports out there in the James River, along with different parks. And in some of these parks, you have different events that come up all the time, where they may have bands or different events going on during the summertime and food trucks. Real good time. Richmond has a lot to offer. And I would say it's pretty fun. Depending on what part you want to go to, it's still growing, it's still thriving. And I'm excited to see what Richmond has to offer in the future as well. So guys, those are my three main things. I love to tell you about the vibe of the area. Study your schools and your neighborhoods. You have me here for that. Please give me a call if you're going to move here, you want to buy a house. And last but not least, take advantage of Richmond. It's an awesome city where I really think you will enjoy. So like I always say, I don't care if you're thinking about moving next week, next month, or next year. Please reach out to me and my team, because we'd love to help you make that smooth move to Fort Gregg Adams.